Namaste. I'm Dr. Robert. And today on 5-ish Minutes with Dr. Robert, my subject is karmic debt. Or even more precisely, the bondage of karmic debt. That is a translation of the Sanskrit word Rinanubandhana. Anubandhana, bondage. Rina, debt. Implication is karmic debt. The law of karma is very simple. Newton's third law of physics. Whatever there is an action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. The problem is that once you have one reaction, then that reaction easily can act as the action to create yet further actions, which will have other reactions, and after a while, in fact, after not very long, suddenly everything is extraordinarily complicated. So it's extraordinarily oversimplistic to think that I might have a karmic connection to another person. What you have most likely, and sometimes it is the case that there is just one simple karma. You meet that person, or maybe you're simply in the same room together, and then that passes off, and that's the end of it. But for most of the people you know, you have rinanubandhanas, which means there's a little bit that you owe them, there's a little bit that they owe you, and it can't all be paid off at one time because not everything is maturing to be ready to be paid off at one time. And that's why we have things like time and space, so that you can be positioned in space at particular moments where the payoff can occur. Hopefully that will be an equitable kind of payoff in the sense that you will give something and that person will give something, and then it will be a nice kind of balance created. Sometimes it's not quite so equitable. The question, of course, is how can we determine whether something is a karmic debt or not? We are tempted by possibly getting employed in a certain location. We are tempted by getting involved romantically with a certain individual. How is it that we can know whether there is actually a connection between us, or it's simply something that has been generated by the modern image creating, generating mechanism that is now so prominent everywhere in the world? It is not easy to be certain, but generally speaking, when you feel a strong pull in a certain direction, whatever that direction may be, that suggests that there is some rinanubandhana, some karmic debt that is to be worked out. And this can happen at the level of the really big things like personal relationships and employment and where you live and who your neighbors are and things like that. And it can also be things that are not quite so large and overarching in one's life. In Texas, for example, it often comes to the question of which Tex-Mex restaurant you would like to eat in. You notice I'm wearing a Chuy's shirt. So Chuy's is a restaurant that started, I believe, in Austin, but now is present in many cities in the state. It provides a good quality of predictable food, and the restaurants are all decorated differently with primitive Mexican art, and it's a very friendly atmosphere, and so it's not uncommon for people to think of Chuy's as their restaurant. Why are they doing this? Most likely because there is a relationship, a karmic relationship that has pre-existed, and it's a complicated one among the servers and the cooks and the owner, the location, the other people you'll be eating with. But if you find that you like the food and you are being drawn towards it, then it's good food and it digests well, then it's very likely that you have some sort of rinanubandhana with that restaurant, and that it's reasonable to continue eating there until you no longer feel that pull in that direction, at which point you may find yourself another Tex-Mex restaurant, depending on where you are located and who your fellow diners are, because everyone has an opinion about Tex-Mex food when you live in Texas. This is Dr. Robert, wishing everyone a happy and successful reorganizing of all your rinanubandhanas, and also Buen provecho.